Hey everyone, and welcome back to Don't Open That Door. I am Justin, the werewolf hunter.
I'm Nico, and I'm a blood knight tonight.
And I'm Dan, the plug.
And we are here today to discuss Ginger Snaps. Directed by John Fawcett, this stars Emily Perkins as Bridget Fitzgerald. We have Catherine Isabel as Ginger Fitzgerald, Chris Lemche as Sam, and Mimi Rogers as Pam Fitzgerald. So we open with Ginger and Bridget, two sisters kind of really obsessed with death. The two of them often take pictures of death scenes where the two of them pretend to be dead. And they even made a pact with one another that they would eventually, quote, go together. Now, recently, there's been some kind of creature on the loose that's been gruesomely disemboweling pet dogs, but the two sisters really don't pay it too much attention. This will come back to bite them later.
Wow! It's gonna bite them? It's gonna bite them?
Yeah,
Okay.
you see what I did there? You like that?
I do,
Why don't you
unfortunately.
Why don't you go ahead, Nico? Why don't you go ahead from there?
So, one day in school, Bridget is bullied, and as revenge, the sisters take makeup to stage a fake killing of the bully's dog. When they get there, however, it turns out that, well, you see, the dog already died, so their job was over. They got to go home early. No, but they found out the dog has already been killed by a creature that's been stalking the area. And at that moment, Ginger gets her first period, which unfortunately attracts the creature, and it attacks Ginger and drags her off. Bridget pursues and helps her sister fight off the creature, which appears to be a werewolf. And then the two sisters run into the road with the werewolf in hot pursuit when a van appears. The sisters manage to dodge the car, but the werewolf just gets fucking obliterated by this van. Like, holy shit. And then scene change.
So, Dan, what happens after that?
So once they get home, both sisters are amazed to see that Ginger's wounds are starting to heal already, but Ginger begins to change in other ways. Her body begins to change, becoming more and more like a werewolf, and she becomes even more aggressive, both physically and sexually. Bridget meets Sam, who happens to be the guy driving the van who hit the werewolf, and she questions him about what he hit. After some conversation, they both agree that it was a werewolf. Sam gives Bridget a silver ring, which has no effect on Ginger, and he suggests monkshood, which is another name for wolfsbane, but he actually laments that he has none and he has to grow some, but it only grows in spring, and I think it's like fall or something in the movie.
Yes, it is fall.
Essentially, he can't get it anytime soon.
All right, well, that kind of sucks. So, Nico, what follows?
So, erstwhile all this is happening, Ginger snaps. She has unprotected, and this is important, sex with a boy from her school. She also assaults the girl who bullies Bridget and attacks her after school, which leads to her admittedly accidental death. Bridget then has an encounter with the boy who slept with Ginger and realized that he has been infected with the same lycanthropy, or werewolf-therapy. He's infected. She finds that her mother actually has some monkshood, miraculously, because she went to the store. So she gets Sam to make some antidote.
So afterwards, Bridget runs into the boy again, and she ends up using a kind of injection of monkshood on him. And it apparently reverses the whole lycanthropy, werewolfism that's going on with him. So later on that night, Ginger goes to a Halloween party at a greenhouse. At this point in time, she's like super werewolfed out, but because it's a Halloween party, everybody just assumes it's a really dope costume. Bridget pursues her. You know, she's like, oh no, gotta stop her. So Ginger tries to sleep with Sam.
Just like that.
Oh no.
Just that bad. Oh no, gotta stop her.
So Ginger tries to sleep with Sam, is kind of rebuked, and she ends up attacking him. Bridget arrives and is to kind of appeal to Ginger. She cuts her hand and infects herself with the lycanthropy, basically. And Sam's like, don't do it, but it happens anyways. Bridget then tries to lead Ginger back to her house when Sam appears and knocks Ginger out with a shovel. Bridget then explains that he's an idiot because the monkshood works and there's more at the house. So she was trying to take Ginger back to the house to get it. And also, this is kind of unimportant, but earlier that day, Ginger had kind of murdered some people from their school too, but that's in the past. So the two of them put Ginger in Sam's van and they take her back home. And Dan, what's the conclusion to this? They cure her and everything's good, right?
When they get to the house, Sam and Bridget try to start making the monkshood concoction, but Ginger, who is now full-on werewolf, starts attacking. Sam is killed attempting to inject her with a monkshood, and Ginger grabs a knife along with a vial of monkshood. The ginger wolf, as we are calling Ginger, the wolf version of Ginger, the ginger wolf leaps onto Bridget, but falls on her knife and it takes a fatal blow. Bridget rests her head on the ginger wolf as she looks at pictures of the two of them growing up, and she starts to sob. And I believe we see that the ginger wolf stops breathing.
We do.
The end.
The end.
I mean, what an ending. So let's go ahead right now and let's go ahead and break down the audio and visuals. So let's start with the visuals. And I think for maybe the first time ever, we'll start with me. So one thing that I particularly enjoyed from this movie were the practical effects. Now, this movie, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I don't believe this had any CGI, like whatsoever.
You're right.
I believe
Yeah.
this was entirely practical effects. And it, to me, and I've said this every time, movies, in my opinion, are generally better for it. So there was actually some scenes where the gore was very, very appropriate. We saw guts and innards, particularly of the dogs. You got to see some there. You also got to see some when some people were attacked. So I really did enjoy that. I thought it was pretty cool. And blood is like a big, big thing in this movie. Nico, how about you? Anything visually that you liked?
So this movie it kind of confused me visually. And see if this sort of rings true for either of you. This movie felt like a Disney Channel original movie for the first 90% of it.
I would say the first half felt like
The first 90%?
Up until the very ending, really. Just we have such a vibrant color palette. We have these exaggerated characters, like the mom who doesn't know how to fucking parent and is just, well, okay, I guess I'm gonna be a complete little doormat. Let my kids walk all over me, guys. And just the overall feel of it, even with stuff related to just the coloration of the movie and the way it was shot, it felt very much like a Disney Channel original movie, and I couldn't get that taste out of my mouth until the end, really.
Quick shout outs to The Luck of the Irish and all those other Disney Channel originals.
That's the only one you could think of.
No, what is it? Xenon Girl from the 21st Century? What was that shit called?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to watch those back in the day, like one or two of them.
Y'all remember the one where the dude turned into a fucking mermaid and it was just
I see that one. He was a swimmer, right? And then it's
Yeah.
like, psych, your mom was a mermaid the whole time.
Yeah.
Like you thought you worked hard, but nah, it was all genetics.
It's called Ponyo is the movie.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Anyhow, so yeah, I mean, I can see how the bright visuals were certainly a thing. Although, and I guess we'll talk more about it later. I think the director tried to take certain steps to kind of subvert that a little bit, but I also think Canada is just like a happy place.
And so everything looks happier there.
So everything just looks happier there.
What country?
Oh, I'm sorry, Canada.
There we go.
Okay.
But Dan, how do you see the movie visually? I mean, you visually see the movie, but how do you
That's
feel
right.
about the visuals?
I felt like they were pretty good. Like you said, the realistic, prosthetics, non CGI looked pretty good. A lot of the gore looked really good, but I did not like the werewolf at the end. I did not like
Oh, really?
Ginger Wolf. I thought the face looked like fucking too much plastic surgery, and then had a peanut allergy or something. Like it was like it was like frozen in this really scrunched, I don't know. I did not like the
We
face
could
at
have
all.
just given her some Benadryl. She would have been good.
Pretty much.
So I've read online that was the fully transformed Ginger Wolf, but I don't buy it because the first werewolf we see it looks like a real werewolf, right?
Yeah.
It's covered in hair. This Ginger Wolf, I mean, it kind of
Looks like a member of the fucking Ginyu Force. Let's just say it.
Very
It
cool.
looks like a member of the Ginyu Force. It doesn't look like a werewolf. It looks like some weird alien shit that came out of the mind of Akira Toriyama.
Well, not only that, but the werewolf still has like a human titty.
Yeah.
It has two of them specifically.
So it makes me feel like the transformation
just have
isn't
the
complete.
one.
I only saw the one. I didn't see the other one.
Okay.
So I
Trust
can
is
only
there.
That's all,
I
that's
can
all
only
we can
speak to the one.
confirm.
We put in our due fucking diligence here and don't
It's like
open that
it's like
door.
when there's smoke, there's fire, but you can never be sure. So yeah. I don't know. I do see what you're saying though, Dan. I do see what you're saying. Now let's go ahead and I guess kind of flip the page here a little bit. You know, for the sound, how do you feel about that?
The score was interesting. The first half was early 2000s. Like I think we've kind of talked about a little bit on like Resident Evil and Blade, I think, sort of a little bit early 2000s rock. Not quite as industrial in this one, but definitely very early 2000s. But then as the movie went on, it got more horror film score. And more
Right.
a little bit more orchestral and things like that. And the sound effects of the werewolf I actually thought were really good. I liked
Agreed.
the growling and everything actually sounded really, really good.
All right. All right. From my perspective, for a movie that came out in 2000, I almost expected this to be, you know, especially with the attitude of Ginger and Bridget, I would have thought that this would have been chock full of, you know, like new metal. Like you would have heard like Freak on a Leash blaring in the background or something like that.
Say to me.
Well, actually, I don't think that, no, they wouldn't have been able to use that song. Wasn't out yet.
Oh, true.
But
Could have had it commissioned.
but I feel like Freak on a Leash came
yeah,
out early enough for that to happen. I wanted that so bad. But
that would have been too perfect.
but yeah, okay. So Nico, sonically, what are your thoughts?
I mean, this Dan really just hit the nail on the head, and
Okay.
it apart from that, you know, like the sound effects for the ginger wolf, ginger wolf. Strange though she may have looked, she did sound really, really menacing, and I will say this sounded significantly more like a horror movie in the second act. I think the tonal shift made it so that there was more attention paid to just like ambient noise and stuff. And it wasn't much, but I did appreciate it.
All right. So let's talk actually about something else real quick, guys. So how do we feel about the ending? I mean, it's kind of dismal, would you say? Is that the correct word to use?
Yeah. I feel like the movie didn't end. It just like stopped, but it didn't end. It didn't finish. I wanted like 5 more minutes. You see Ginger Wolf die, and that is literally the end. I wanted to see, I don't know, because we
Didn't use a
didn't,
cure or anything.
yeah, and we didn't really talk very much about the mother in the plot. I think Nico mentioned her once or twice, but she was at this party that they were at, the greenhouse, and then they just like ditch her. And I thought I was waiting for her to like come home or something or be there at the end, and she just wasn't. And I just feel like I wanted 5 more minutes of like ending of not quite epilogue. Well, I guess sort of.
It's like when you
epilogue-ish.
rush a group project.
Yeah.
You can tell. The
Yeah.
ending
Yeah.
is a little rushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've done 1 or 2 of those. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I will say this. I get what was going on and like a lot of things were happening in this town, but I don't know. I didn't like the way that I almost felt like it should have picked a lane with Ginger and stuck with it. Either Ginger is becoming stronger in every way and she likes the power and becomes consumed by it, or not like, oh, I don't want to turn into a werewolf, but I'm being forced to. Oh no, I'm changing. But like, quite literally, she kind of like flip-flopped a bunch on whether or not she actually wanted to be a werewolf. Then the whole becoming a werewolf thing. So another thing the movie didn't really big up too much was I believe it was a full moon on Halloween night.
I think you're right. I think they
Yes.
mentioned it like in passing once, but I think that was it.
Yeah, just briefly in the beginning.
And it also coincided with, and we'll talk more about this later, but like when her period was supposed to go down matched like that time period. So that was interesting, but I don't know. I agree with Dan in that the ending was too abrupt. Nico, do you concur with us men of science?
I do. Just in particular because they spend pretty much the entirety of the last third or so setting up this big climactic, scenario where like there's only one cure left. What are they going to do with it? Is Bridget going to take it? Is she going to give it to her sister? What's going to happen to Sam? And then just like, oh, we're just not going to develop that plot point any further.
That's true.
it felt like a cash grab for a sequel, but not in the way that it just felt clumsy.
All right, all right. And there are some inconsistencies that I want to point out in this movie, but let's go ahead and talk about maybe some of the biggest ones, which is werewolf lore. So we're all, as we said, men of science, but we're also men of the wolf. And Nico, I mean,
I'm
what's up
so
with
worried for whatever question you're about to ask me.
no. What is up with silver bullets not being necessary to kill a werewolf? What heresy
Bro.
is this?
Yeah, this is something where I feel like they just took out a fucking little chart of werewolf lore, put it on a dartboard, and just started throwing and seeing where shit landed. Because like they go back and forth between calling it a lichen or lycanthropy in werewolf. It's weird. They've got the silver doesn't do jack shit. And also during the penultimate stage, I guess they just had to throw in that, werewolves have to look like they're on part of fucking Lion-O's team on Thundercats.
Jesus Christ.
Because she did not look at all
she didn't.
like a dog or a
She did look
person
more feline,
or a
you're right.
werewolf. Yeah.
Span said, Thundercats.
Oh,
But no, I mean, I have no choice but to agree. I will say also, just the movie gaslit me. Yo, monkshood is Wolfsbane. Okay?
I'm so glad we're bringing this up on the pod.
No, monkshood is Wolfsbane. That used to be a thing in like certain horror circles. You would say monkshood, and only like the real G's would know that you were talking about Wolfsbane.
oh, you had
But-
to be a true level 7 wolf hunter, huh?
Yeah.
Bro, you have to be.
You got to get up your
Now-
poisoner stat.
Dan, how do you feel about a werewolf dying from getting stabbed by a knife?
Yeah,
Is it that easy to kill a werewolf?
About that. I don't know about that. That was a pretty lame death for a werewolf, that's for sure.
I didn't think she was gonna die. I thought like, oh, you've been stabbed, temporarily hurt, and I'm gonna inject you.
Yeah,
with
like the fight's going to continue, right?
No,
Just like, I'm good. You got me on this one, boss.
I don't know about that. Also, I mean, so yes, becoming a werewolf. How do you guys feel about the transformation to becoming more and more of a werewolf? First off, being that, typically when people become a werewolf, they start getting more aggressive and all that other stuff is true. But do you think we were robbed of a real transformation scene? Like someone ripping their skin off to become a wolf? Because that's one of my favorite parts of werewolf movies in general, seeing the transformation. And I felt kind of robbed with it because she transformed off screen.
Yeah, that's true. And as like almost like, well, it is cliche that kind of scene, but you're right. That's like the big part of a werewolf movie or show or whatever. It's like, I want to see that, and we didn't. It, as far as like the process of transformation, I thought in general it was okay. I agree with your earlier point of like, I feel like they kind of should have made up their mind of whether she wants to or not, because she did kind of flip flop sometimes. And I understand that when she was in the throes of wolfening,
Right.
Yeah, sure, she's more
The
aggressive. whatever.
wolfening, if you will.
But one thing that also felt kind of weird to me was not only did people get more like aggressive, but like the boy that she turned, he got weirdly like creepy. Rapey is a little too strong a word maybe, but like when Bridget finds him attacking that little girl, he like stops attacking the little kid and then looks at her and he's like, "Oh yes, another girl. Oh yes, ah." Whoa. I didn't realize this was part of it too. I mean, he was attacking her, but like, I don't know, it felt kind of weird.
Yeah.
So I guess my thought towards that is Ginger says when she's talking to Bridget after she sleeps with the dude, she's like, I thought I wanted sex, but I didn't. And actually, every dude that she's with, like multiple times, the dude's like, yo, like slow down, like step back, like relax, just calm down. And she's like, no, and then like pounces on him.
Right.
And even when Sam is, like getting attacked by Ginger, he's like, Ginger, stop. Ginger, no. He's like multiple times he tells her to stop, and she just like carries on and would have kept carrying on if not for the introduction of Bridget into the scene. But I'll talk more about that later too, because I think there was more to that than just Sam. But I want to know, Nico, you are kind of I want to call you the master of metaphors almost.
Ooh, okay.
So,
I fucked
you know,
with that
like
title. I fucks with that.
the Prince of Poignancy,
Ooh, ooh.
the Sultan of Similes.
Ooh, ooh.
So
Money.
I gotta know, what's the deal with the allegory, the metaphor in this movie of puberty, particularly as pertaining to women and being a werewolf or lycanthropy? How does this movie play that out?
So this is where I'm torn because the aesthetics I was talking about earlier, where this feels just so much more lighthearted and kind of kiddie, kind of contrast with the real events and content of the film. And I just get this sort of like mishmash in my head of just like balancing it all out. Because on paper, looking at what they're doing, I think it is well done. I think the idea of, you know, almost parodying the very common interpretation of just like, oh, when a woman gets her period, she just turns out to be a real psychopath, which, like, no. And I like that they did sort of a satire on that, but combining it with everything else just made it fall a little flat to me. And I can't really negotiate that.
Would you believe, Nico, that I literally feel the exact same way as you?
Wow.
I literally
okay.
feel the exact same way as you. When I saw it, I agreed that it was. First off, I don't want to say Carrie did it too, but Carrie kind of did it too, and we just watched that.
But
movie.
did it way fucking better?
Yeah. Yes. I want to say that this movie, I thought it was kind of cool. How I was like, oh, haha, get it? You get your period once a month. I assume she turns into a werewolf maybe once a month. She doesn't last long enough for us to really know. You know what I mean? Like how long she's
That's
actually
mad
gonna
fucking
be.
inconsistent.
She's gonna be wolfing out. So I don't really know too much about that, but I can see it. I thought it was interesting enough. There was also, so when she fucked the dude and the next day the dude was like bleeding, that, I guess that was supposed to be like kind of like a just desserts because he'd been making fun of her earlier or it was either her or someone else. He was like,
Yeah,
oh,
there's
you
a
on the
lot of
rag?
jokes about blood that are just really infantile and don't really land in this movie.
Oh, he's like, oh, my red ink pen must have just burst in my pants.
Yeah,
I
like
was
obviously
all right.
you're not going to say a different color, dumbass.
It's like, all right.
My blue ink pen. Oh, wait.
And it's red now.
My green highlighter. Oh, shit.
Shit.
Wrong color.
Fuck. What are the names of colors?
But Dan, I mean, where do you take this metaphor at? You know, like, do you think it was well implemented, well executed?
Not really, to be honest. I agree with both of you. It kind of fell flat, and maybe it was because we just watched Carrie a couple weeks ago. But as soon as they started the whole like period thing, I was kind of like, "Are we doing this again?" I don't know. I didn't really like that, and
Would you say it was derivative?
I think so. Yeah, I feel like the movie could have been done just as effectively without that. I didn't really see a purpose to having that be such a prominent thing in the beginning, in the first third or whatever, and then like not matter at all later on.
So I will note as well, another theme that kind of almost goes hand in hand here is kind of like the theme of sisterhood. And I have a sister, Burita, but at the same time, you know, I feel like the two of them were very, very close because they were supposedly, I think they were 1 year apart in the movie. They were 1 year apart, and the people playing Bridget and Ginger, they had good chemistry, I thought, and it was believable their bond.
Agreed.
And the movie was kind of implementing and hinting that, oh, Bridget, you know, is not her own person. But this was the one thing I took an issue with. Her mom was like, you never take things for yourself. You don't do what you want to do. I never really saw that. It looked very symbiotic and equal up until kind of she already started turning into a werewolf.
Also, like, way to be a shitty parent. Like, maybe just talk to your fucking kids and try, as opposed to letting them walk all over you. The fuck?
Well, that was, so I think this is yet another thing, and they threw a lot into this soup. But basically, the parents were going through a divorce. They literally said that one time, either a divorce, a separation, or counseling, something like that. Because they were like, well, we have counseling tonight. The dad was completely, he may as well not even been in the show. Because he was
not fucking
completely
matter.
checked out. he did not matter at all. And the mom, I think, she was very, very excited for her daughter's period, which
Yeah, way overly
Little
excited.
sus.
I'm not a mom. I can't speak. I don't know, but she was very hype. I'm just going to make that observation. I don't
And
know, it's
hype is
pretty-
not the wrong word here. Like, she was legitimately
Yes.
celebrating
Yeah.
it.
You know what actually made me be like, interesting move. So Ginger gets her period and, whatever. There's a scene like a day or two later. She's in the locker room and, she's obviously still, bleeding or whatever. So they go to the nurse's office. Nurse is like, yep, you're having a period. By the way, here's a condom. Don't get pregnant. And
Right?
wild boy school. Yo, that's a wild boy school. But I
Shit.
don't really know. One thing I do know though is this movie does have some pretty cool trivia associated with it. So we're gonna turn now to our trivia master, Dan. I mean, what can you tell us about this movie that maybe some people don't know?
So I've got 3 pieces of trivia for you.
Oh,
One, speaking on sort of the camaraderie between, or the 2 sisters act like sisters and everything. So the 2 stars, Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins, actually auditioned for the film on the same day. They also were born in the same hospital, attended the same preschool, elementary school, and private school, and they work at the same talent agency.
how you know all that? How did you find that out?
IMDb.
And he is.
Good
he is
research.
DB.
I am
Good
DB.
research.
That's right. I am DB.
Good
Hey.
research.
So, second piece of trivia here is the opening shots of the girls' fake suicides actually were shot in a real household. And someone actually had to distract the homeowner's 4-year-old child whenever the actresses who were covered in fake gore had to come inside to change.
I see.
Fuck.
And the third piece of trivia, which I find really interesting, is there's a scene where there's a school PA announcement goes off and they like mention a couple other like students. And the voice on that PA announcement is actually Lucy Lawless.
Oh,
Oh.
Xena, warrior princess.
And the students that she pages are Samuel and Theodore, I'm going to butcher the last name, but Raimi, probably. Samuel and Theodore Raimi.
Sam Raimi. Oh shit.
Ted Raimi, Theodore Raimi, is Lawless's co-star in Xena, and Ted's brother, Sam, is the show's executive producer.
So, do you think they were just like hanging around one day and like, hey, let's just sneak this shit in?
Either that or somebody really likes Lucy Lawless and or Xena, which I don't
Yeah.
blame them.
Yeah, Zena's fucking
don't-
rad.
Yep. Yep. She had the. Is that like a chakram? Is that what it's
Yeah,
called?
she got the chakrams.
Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
real talk, how fucking scared would you be if you were 4 years old and you just saw motherfuckers walking and
Hell
covered
yeah.
in gore into your house?
Fuck that. I would be scarred for life.
I used to see. No, I'm playing. I didn't. Nah.
We're on next bonus episode.
So I have another question. I'm gonna have to direct this one, I think, at Nico more than anyone else. So this movie is noted as having a real big kind of cult following. It's true cult. So why? Can you hazard a guess?
I think I don't know, man. I don't fucking know. Like, this is a movie that I feel like is reaching for the girl power aesthetic by treating itself to just centering it on, Bridget and Pam and having everything being focused through their point of view, which like I get, but nothing really ever comes of it. I mean, like, dude, I really don't know. I wish I did.
Dan, is it just that good?
I don't think it's just that good. I feel like it's the beginning, the first, like we kind of said, the first chunk of the movie. Nico put it pretty well with the sort of Disney movie kind of feel to it. We throw a little bit of gore and stuff in there that you wouldn't see on Disney, but I think that plus the gore is kind of what lends it to the culty aspect, but it wouldn't get that status from me anyways.
Yeah.
I will say one thing about the characters that I did not believe was their whole kind of real super edgy attitude. especially at the beginning where I forget who it is. It's either Ginger or Bridget is sitting there with like a knife going over her wrist, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Nah, cutting wrists is for like girls, or it's lame, or something like that."
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing right now?
See, what I thought was going on there was I thought they were some sort of like immortal beings that just like killed themselves for fun, and that already sounds like a more interesting movie.
You're not wrong, I guess.
I think when Ginger gets her period, she's like, "Oh, I have the curse" or whatever. And like,
Yeah.
I'm sure some people refer to that, whatever. But like that coupled with what Nico just said, like I thought that they were actually like witches or had some actual like abilities that
Yeah.
didn't let you have a period or something. I don't know, but that was definitely not the right answer.
Yeah, because that was pretty weird, right? They were like, Bridget still hasn't had hers, but Ginger got hers later on. So the movie made a deal about that, and then it didn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So I wasn't quite exactly sure how that what exactly was playing out there. Also, can I just say they were standing up next to the corpse of a fucking disemboweled dog, but
Oh my God.
the trickle of period blood is what attracted the werewolf. That's what did it. It's like the werewolf had just left a bloody carcass and a mess there, but it was like
Out in the open, which
Yeah.
happens multiple times. Like, there are multiple instances where motherfuckers could just turn their head like 45 degrees to the right and be like, "Oh, fuck me, that's a mangled corpse. Let's get out of here." But instead, they have to wait for some very forced camera angle for us to see that, oh, there's this big reveal. Like, I guess these motherfuckers just they have blinders on or something. It's
They were playing lacrosse, and nobody
Yeah.
saw that there was a disemboweled dog on the lacrosse
Fucking
field
thank you!
until somebody got tackled into it. And nobody gave a fuck. Like, literally, nobody cared. Nobody freaked out.
No reaction.
One of the girls was like, "Oh, look at that mangled dog." And the boys watching were weird because they always stay and watch the girls lacrosse. That's weird.
Yeah.
But they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, yeah, that's the fourth dog that's gotten slaughtered."
Like, why
But
would you be
remember,
Does
happy
nobody
about
give a
that for
fuck about
one?
this?
But remember, well, first off, no, because apparently there's also no such thing as police in this town.
Nope.
Where they are.
Nope.
Because
You're fucking
just-
right. Holy shit.
it just doesn't matter. Like a girl literally went missing. No police,
Yeah.
no nothing, like nada. But Dan, I guess to your point, you got to remember as well, Bridget and Ginger are both so cool. They don't have to wear lacrosse outfits.
That's true.
For-
They're the only ones.
Like I think
Because
Ginger
they're
wears
main
one.
character, son. They're the transfer students.
They are, but Ginger wears one like right towards the end when she has a tail. And I'm pretty sure the only reason she wears one is so that we can see them tape up her tail on her leg.
Which is also a weird scene. Like, why would you do that in the girls' locker room? Couldn't you like go into a more private place to hide your fucking tail so the whole school might not know about it?
Or like do it at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know. And I guess last kind of point before I move on here, there a message about safe sex in this movie because they were really like, I can't believe you had unprotected sex with this person. And like, wait, you've been infected? You must have had unprotected sex with my sister. It's like-
You got the
I'm
pitch
like-
shift every time.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. Like, was this movie sponsored by Trojan? I'll never know. But it just, I guess, you know what? Make like a kebab, kids, and wrap it up. But I meant to say gyro.
Wow!
I was like, that doesn't even.
That,
You're like,
In
make like a
what
kebab
way?
and skewer it or something? Like, what? Or stick it?
But
or
also
like
make
what?
like a kebab and skewer, if you know what I mean. But also put your kebab on the gyro platter and wrap it up. So moving on
get
from
some
that.
tzatziki on there, I guess.
Hey, that's what you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
So also, how do you feel the lycanthropism transfers? Because on one instance,
I think it's
Ginger, it's blood?
blood. I think so.
So this brings up my second point. We turn now to Nico. So do you think, never mind, we're going to move past that. I agree, it's blood. So once again, and again, this is obviously part of our series during Women's History Month, so we're going to have to swap things around here a little bit for us. But the three of us, something's out here just like massacring dogs. And unlike this town, we actually give a shit about animals. So we're like, all right, let's try and find out what's going on. So we get to an open field. And for this, let's put ourselves back in like high school. So we get to an open field. From a distance, because we use our eyes, we can clearly see there's a disemboweled dog like in the middle of an open field. What would you do?
Imagine if this shit happened in our high school. Just like real fucking quick, how quick that would have been just solved. Like, hey, LP, there's a big fucking dog over here. Let's take care of this shit.
Yo, what? I feel like, first off, like, people at our school used to big shit up so much. It could be like a tiny dog. Yo, it's a fucking werewolf. I know it's a fucking werewolf. I seen it over there.
Cujo out there, man.
But nah. So seeing a corpse of a dog, what would you do,
Go
Dan?
home.
Yo.
Wow.
Knowing that there's a thing murdering dogs, I'll fucking go home.
Would
Call
you
the
attempt to hunt
police.
it at all?
No. What the fuck with my fisticuffs? Would I fucking punch it in the fucking nose, like boop it on the nose like a fucking shark? No.
Yo, believe it or not, right? I bet you if you like give it a solid boop on the nose, it would probably like back up.
You
So-
wanna
The
try
old
it?
wapow. Get some
So-
onomatopoeia sounds up in this bitch.
Eeny, meeny, miny, Nico, you get bit.
Okay.
So you get bit and you're starting to turn
I
into a
would be the
werewolf.
one to get bit. Let's just acknowledge that.
Yeah.
You would. You totally would.
Yeah.
So all this time, Dan and I are like, yo, bro, you kind of getting aggro, dude. And whatever else is going on. And then we're like, yo, there's a cure. Would you opt to get cured?
Yeah, I'm not some sort of emotionally stunted fucking dumbass who reads QAnon. Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, I'm actually gonna go for this.
Yeah, I
go for
like
this here
people,
wolfsbane.
contrary to popular belief. Fuck all that. No, like, are you kidding me? I would be growing this bony ass rat's tail and getting like white hair on all different parts of my body that would suddenly then disappear in my final form. No, fuck that.
Would you think you were saying growing a tail and fur and shit?
Man, that would be way fucking cooler once again.
I mean,
I'm just saying.
I don't even know. So now, Dan, Nico, I'm sorry, but you actually turn into the full werewolf. Dan, we
beans.
gotta put a stop to Nico. Do you think we could safely inject him with the wolfsbane, or do you think like we just gotta stomp him out?
Get a fucking dart gun. Just go.
That's not a
I
bad
do
idea.
have that talent.
Thank you.
Like real talk.
Thank you, Nico Wolf, for the suggestion.
You're
Before he changes, Nico's like, guys, are you gonna like inject me with something? Yeah. All right, listen, man, just like blow
Just
dart
use
me
the
or
blow
something.
gun real quick. It'll be the safest option.
Tranquilize gun. I mean, I feel like there was a lot of different options, but also, and this is the one critical thing. If you knew wolfsbane was the cure, let's say we just hit up, I don't know, Bean, because he knows about, you know, certain plants. Like, would you not give him enough to make like multiple fucking doses?
Yeah.
Not
Okay,
just the
thank
one,
you.
and we're just gonna ride with just the one. And then afterwards, she's like, I got more at my house, dummy. Ha ha ha. And he's like, what the fuck? she did not tell him shit about the plan. And secondly, if you had more, why didn't you give the man more? Question mark. I don't know. That was wild. But not as wild as these fucking scores. Trust me when I tell you guys, this shit is out of this world. So, you're about to be salty. Ginger Snaps has a 90% from critics on Rotten
What?
Tomatoes and a 78% from the audience. Your
Wow.
fucking reaction. So, go for it, Nico-san.
This movie's kind of shit. I'm sorry.
Whoa. Well, why don't you go ahead and maybe call out your favorite scene, your least favorite scene, and what you'd give the movie?
My favorite scene is the finale, just because it was so much more action packed and there was some actual tension there.
Right.
I did like the design of Ginger Wolf. It was certainly menacing enough. It didn't look like any kind of werewolf I'd seen before, which is both good and bad. My least favorite scene is probably any time that the three fucking stooges were on screen just like watching the girls lacrosse, just because they didn't need to exist.
It was weird, right? Because then she slept with dude. But
Yeah.
we'll move past that. So, Dan, favorite, least favorite, and oh shit, Nico, did you say what you give the movie?
Oh, fuck. No, I didn't. I would. This is something where I feel like people could get a lot out of this. I feel like there has to be a cult following on this for some reason, but I'm just not getting it. And there's too many different tonal inconsistencies in the film that were distracting for me. I'm gonna give this a 40. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for that sound effect.
Been a minute since I've had something that low.
I apologize for that. That was a
Okay.
true wall of awe and surprise.
The wall
A
of
wall of
wall.
awe.
So, Dan, go ahead and don't give me your score yet. Give me your favorite and least favorite scenes.
I'm going to start with my least favorite. My least favorite scene is the first like 20 minutes because I had no fucking idea what was happening. There was literally,
Yeah.
we open with this woman in her backyard and this little kid is playing, and then they realize that their dog gets disemboweled and she freaks out, and the rest of the neighborhood is just like, whatever. And they're like, oh, it's the monster of whatever. And I was like, wait, there's a monster running around murdering shit and nobody in this neighborhood cares? What the fuck is happening in this movie?
You remember at the very beginning, too, when the mom came out and was like, "They got Hadley," or whatever
Yeah.
the dog's name was. Like, all the kids turned around for like 1 second and then didn't give a shit about it.
Yep.
No one
Yeah.
fucking cares.
Yep. Took me
Yeah.
a good 20 or 30 minutes to like finally begin to understand what the fuck was even happening. So that was my least favorite. My favorite was probably when Bridget kind of fully realizes that Ginger's becoming a werewolf, and she fucking goes to the library, gets some books, watches some movies, and does her fucking due diligence and learns
Exactly.
werewolf stuff. And I was like, yeah, that's the right shit to do. So those are my least favorite and favorite scenes.
Now, Dan, before you give me the score, I'm going to tell you this to make you feel bad, okay?
Okay.
Per Rotten Tomatoes, the strong female cast and biting satire of teenage life makes Ginger Snaps far more memorable than your average werewolf movie or teen flick. So bearing those powerful words in mind, Dan, you can't rate this low. Or can you?
I'm going to give it a 53. I thought that I hated the first half. I hated it. But the second half, I actually kind of enjoyed. And by the end of the movie, I was like, you know what? That wasn't bad. And I almost forgot how bad the first half was. But the first half just threw me off so much. It just turned me off so much that I it didn't redeem it quite enough. So 53 for me.
All right. So, from my perspective, my favorite scene is a scene where Ginger and Bridget go to Sam, he's the local weed man. He literally grows his weed in the community greenhouse. Like, by the way, that's not his own private place. That's the community
His
greenhouse.
store
just
has like
realized
marijuana
that.
leaves on it. I'm like, wow, could you be any more fucking obvious?
So,
Good thing there's no cops in this town.
I know. Well, Ginger walks into like his little like weed section and she opens, she's like, "Oh, Wicked, smoke us up." And he comes in behind her, he's like, "Oh, Wicked, get the fuck out."
Yeah.
And
That was
I
pretty funny.
like, yo, I died at that. Probably my least favorite scene was when, to be real, like Ginger was trying to get laid and she hopped into the car with the dude and then Bridget comes out, she's ovulating.
Oh yeah.
And first off, I didn't like that just cuz, but secondly, scientifically speaking, no, she literally could not be. So that, I'm just like, for a movie that really wants to make a statement about something like that, at least get your science right. At least get your facts right. I get it, it was probably just a joke, but you know how many people probably walked away from that thinking like, oh, yep, that
I
makes sound
fucking
sense.
hope no one walked away thinking, I learned something today after watching this.
How much you want to bet, bro? How much you want to bet?
Yeah, that.
And you know what? I'm probably going to catch a lot of flack for this, but I think this movie is really popular because this movie appealed to a certain crowd of people who thought it was kind of, I forget who mentioned it. I would not call this a girl power movie at all, really.
Yeah, it's
but
not.
people saw that It had female leads. It does, to its credit, deal with certain issues. It does kind of sort of talk about them. But to me, again, there's just like too much going on in the soup. A lack of clarity and vision at times detracted, I think, from what could otherwise be really good points. So I'm actually, surprisingly, I'm the highest here. I'm going to stick it at a 60. And that's just where I'm at.
Okay.
Dan, would you recommend this one to the people?
No, I don't think so.
Nico, recommend?
No. Saddened to say, because I've heard such good things.
I am right on the fence about this one. I am struggling here. And you know what? Here's what I will say. I would recommend this if only for the fact that sometimes there are some movies that have a main character that I can personally relate to. And to me, that bumps it up a couple notches. I think, for what it's worth, Bridget and Ginger, there's some women, teenage girls, whoever, who could look at that and find a relation there somewhere. So
Okay.
to them, I say, I think you can watch it. I think you can have fun watching it. If you are a hardcore like werewolf fanatic, you're just gonna get mad. If you are somebody who want this for like a real gore fest, like a lot of werewolf movies are, don't do it. To me, there's a lot better in the werewolf department. What was the one on the train? Howl?
How that was a good
Yeah,
one.
go watch Howl. That shit bumps.
Howl bumps, but not this one. So yeah, I give it kind of like a half and half. If there's something here for you, then yes, but otherwise, no. Can I also make one really, 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 really special note here? I have almost never been turned off as much. I say almost because there's been others, by the first 10, 15 minutes of a movie as I was here. So first off, that whole intro about like the whole suicide pact, like we're in or out till we're whatever else, or like they really made light of that. And I was here sitting like, yo, like, I get it. Y'all are just so fucking edgy, right? But this is some shit that like kids on the regular have to deal with, like these types of thoughts. And then for you to just come out here, and again, if your movie was just gonna be some edgelord shit, then cool, whatever, be an edgelord. But you can't try to make social points and then just completely shit on, we're obsessed with death. We like to take pictures of us killing ourselves and hanging ourselves and doing all this shit. And to me personally, I'm not gonna go as far as to say like, I was offended, because I wasn't, but I just thought it was in poor taste. And that had fuck all to do with the plot. Like Nico had said, I would so understand it if they were like immortals or they couldn't die and they fetishized death because of that. Like they were obsessed with it because they can't die. That would make so much sense. But they were just average girls who were just super edgy. So
Fucked up thing is like they make it seem that way in the beginning too. For the first like 5 or 10 minutes, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, these girls are rad as shit. They're gonna be these sort of like ethereal beings. Nope, they're just teenagers.
yeah. So also, and I really, really, really don't understand this one. This is such a minor point, and I'm just saying it because I'm cool. So
You are cool, Justin.
Bridget has her hair kind of disheveled throughout the movie. There is one scene where they're in class and her hair is perfectly maintained. Like her hair is flawless. And then she goes right back to having it messed up again.
I kind of feel like, and I don't know if I just kind of made this up, but I feel like throughout the movie, near the end, I feel like she got more put together. Even though
As she was gaining her agency, yeah.
even though like she was running away from, being chased by the werewolf and stuff, like I feel like she was more put together than she was at the beginning of the movie.
All right. So I guess real quick, this movie automatically can't get the Golden Seal of Approval because you two wouldn't recommend it. I kind of pretty much didn't either. I give it a real half pass there. So
You talked it back a bit, but I wasn't gonna say anything.
yeah. I've been thinking about okay, I will. So that's been it from your boys here at Don't Open That Door. We are prepared for the inevitable blowback from this one. So drop us a line. We're on Twitter and Instagram at DOTD Horror. We're on Facebook. Don't Open That Door. So yeah, keep each other safe. If you happen to see the mangled corpse of a dog, look from a distance and contact the appropriate authorities. And please, dear listener, don't open that door. Bye.